And for more on this, we're now being joined by Mr. Raymond E. Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce and Trade Development and Senior Associate at Center for Strategic International Studies from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us on WION World as One. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, always glad to be here. Good morning to you, and thanks for having me.
Right. So to begin with, of course, the meeting between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump, what, as per you, are going to be some of the key things on the agenda?
Well, I think the first item on the agenda is to reestablish the personal relationship between the Prime Minister and the President. They've been close in the past, and President Trump will want to make sure that Modi is still a fan of his. Likewise, Modi will want to know that Trump is going to treat him with respect in the way in which he did during the first term that Trump had. After that, it'll be a question of looking at the issues involving peace and prosperity, how these two great democracies can work together. On the peace angle, the security point, first item I think will be China. It is not exactly certain what President Trump wants to do with Xi, but he has talked with him, and he will want to know that Modi and India are backing him up in his efforts with China. On that score, there ought to be pretty much lockstep, but it will be important to establish that. On the situation with Ukraine, it's a bit more questionable as to what President Trump's going to want to do. And then you move on to the Middle East or Western Asia, as you'd say, and particularly what happens with Iran. As you know, President Trump has been very much hawkish in the past in that regard, whereas India has things that it needs to do with Iran. On the China question, I think Modi will want to be assured that Trump isn't moving in the direction of having what a G2 kind of a relationship. In regard to Ukraine, I think Modi will want to know that he can continue the relationship that he's had in terms of defense procurement, oil, and so forth. Turning to prosperity and the economic factors, the first issue on Trump's agenda is going to be tariffs. He seems to think tariffs are available for everything, and be questions about energy. We hope the civil nuclear deal may be coming back, and of course the procurement of defense equipment.
And that being said, I'm sure another agenda which Trump might pick up is the immigration. We know that he has already intensified its crackdown on undocumented immigrants. We know that includes Indians as well. What kind of talks do you think would evolve in that agenda?
Well, I think you're quite correct to bring that up. That's been the stock in trade both during the campaign and now, as you showed, with the defense secretary going to the border and so forth. I think on that, there isn't going to be a real problem since Prime Minister Modi and others have indicated that India is willing to take back those who are in the country illegally. Nevertheless, there are real problems in regard to H-1B visas, in regard to birthright citizenship. But generally, I think that what will happen is that Trump will want some assurances that he is on the right track and that India generally supports the proposition that people who are in the country illegally have to go home, and he'll look for a victory in that area.
All right. Well, of course, we'll be looking to at the talks and bilaterals take place in the U.S. But thank you so much for joining us on the show, Mr. Vickery, and giving your perspective.
Always a pleasure.